Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Here to talk all things hockey are your hosts, Brad Crisco, Ryan Hanna, and Evan Lobsinger.
I have an apology to make. I yesterday tweeted out from the podcast account that this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast would likely be just Evan and I, because Brad and his wife Crystal are expecting the birth of their second child and first son, and he's in no rush. And so we are very unfortunately today joined by host of the Winged Wheel Podcast, Brad Crisco. So we have a full 3 host set for all of you who are excited for a Bradless episode, just 2 of the hosts. I send you my deepest apologies.
I just want to go on record as saying, I hate you. I hate you. I hate everyone. I hate everything. I hate the Canadian healthcare system. I hate the Bills. I hate the Red Wings.
Oh, Bills, put it in the jar. There it is.
I hate...
What are we doing?
I was dumping on the Bills.
$75.
$75
I hate this stupid tip jar. I hate Twitter. I hate everything today. and I hate a thing that I really can't say yet because we haven't announced it yet, but I'm very rattled about a whole other thing right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so...
I'm
Brad's just a ball of hate.
I'm
right
angry
now.
today.
Without...
It's not even like... This is like one of the true days. It's just legitimate anger, which I don't experience very often. I'm a pretty mellow, easygoing guy. I like to dump on the Red Wings and all that for funsies and stuff, right? But no, I'm like, anger's at an all-time high today.
When Brad's angry for a reason, like football or hockey or something else, Evan and I usually like to pick on it. But with everything that's happened today, it's just like, you know, they have to wait to get Crystal in the hospital.
Even though there's, from what I've gathered, no reason to.
We can't pick on that, but yeah, transitioning kind of into something podcast related, we have something devastatingly exciting to bring you guys later this week. We'll give patrons a sneak peek of it because we will let you guys get in on it as of Monday. We'll see how much we announce before to the rest of the world on Twitter. We'll talk about it, and there's a chance
it's 90%
that the little man is gonna remove Brad's ability to participate in said fun thing.
They say parenting is all about sacrifice.
If Crystal goes into labor, if they get Crystal in tomorrow or Tuesday, there's a 100% chance I will not.
Keep her away from all spicy foods.
But the thing is, I've already got this week booked off work, so like we can't delay it because I don't get that time off afterwards, right? Like I wanted this to go on Saturday because they told us it was happening Saturday.
Ryan, how many kids do you have?
None. How many do you have?
None. How happy are you 90% of the time?
Thrilled.
Yes.
I lose 35 minutes of my day due to something that wasn't my fault, and I still get to have the rest of my day.
I look at the people who have kids, and then I look at the people who drive around in really nice cars with the license plate that says no kids, and I'm like, God, how could I be on the one side?
You know what?
Counterpoint, you've both met Mika.
Yes.
Nope.
No, look, the kids are great.
I'm not sure where that's supposed to swing me.
Wait, it's not like I'm sitting there and I don't have a window into that. I see Mika twice a week. It's awesome. My friends are
but then you can leave.
You got the option of leaving. You lucked out twice
Exactly.
here.
Brad gets it, finally.
You're like the cool uncle. That's all you need to be, and no blood relation.
That's all I want to be.
We're just to spite you, Crystal and I are going to change our will up so that if we die together, you get her.
Listen here, because you know that'll torment my soul, because obviously I'll want to be there for her. And you know it's hard for me because I want to kill you for saying that, but now that's counterintuitive.
You want to be there, but not from a legal obligation.
No.
See, I have to screw both of you. You get Mika, you get little man.
No, you give him the dogs. And you know what? The dogs do like him better because he plays with them.
Yeah, this is true.
I literally just stand beside Ollie, and he just farts and sneezes on me.
Yeah, but you seem entertained by it, so...
Yeah, that's what I come to expect from both of them.
Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. I'm Ryan Hanna.
I'm angry.
I'm Evan.
We do have a lot of things to talk about this episode. The Red Wings have played some hockey and then some hockey.
Do you call most of that hockey?
Well, Brad, you missed the Friday game, and that
was a blessing, and it's one of the few things I'm happy about right now.
But before we get to that, we want to let you know that this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast is brought to you by Labatt Blue and Labatt Blue Light. We want you to celebrate with Labatt Blue and the Detroit Red Wings all season long, especially when they have their miraculous third periods that we haven't seen in some time. Find your specially designed cases of Labatt Blue and Labatt Blue Light at your local retailer to #SellYon. Limited edition Labatt Blue and Labatt Blue Light team cans are available. They're the official Canadian beers of the Detroit Red Wings, and for the Red Wings eking out their first point in 8 games. 8 games? Yeah.
And I'm still angry about that point.
Why?
Give me a win or give me a tank. Don't half-ass this BS. These loser points are what have killed the Red Wings in the past couple of years. That might be why we don't have Jack Hughes or Rasmus Dahlin right now. Enough of it. Win and give me the satisfaction, or just lose in regulation like the Ottawa Senators.
Here's the thing. That was the best third period I've seen Detroit play in a long time.
That was the best period of hockey they've played this year by a mile.
Home opener had some good
They didn't have dude, the shots were like 31-19 for the Wings at one point.
Yeah,
today.
but Mantha scored 4 goals, and truly that trumps everything.
But they were spread out more.
It's not a team effort. That's just one player.
It's hard to have a team effort when you're lacking a lot of the team. Anyhow, no, you're right. That probably was one of, if not the best period of Red Wings hockey that we've seen so far. They came out all guns ablaze in the third, which is, again, antithetical to how this team's been playing.
They were playing the defending Stanley Cup champions, went into the third period down 3-1, and buried 3 unanswered.
They were absolutely buzzing because it went Larkin and then Bertuzzi. No,
Larkin, Filppula, Bertuzzi.
Yeah, I thought the Filppula goal was off Athanasiou.
So did I. And
I was like, Filppula willed the Athanasiou first goal.
But then as soon as I thought about it, I'm like, no, that was Athanasiou. That definitely hit the defenseman.
Yeah, it hit Pietrangelo.
Yeah, 100%.
How funny is it that Prashanth Iyer put something out a few days ago, like talking about he was just teaching himself something with an analytics or like some mathematical concept, and he used best 5-on-5 shooters. Not exactly that, but just like probability that their shot will be effective or something to that effect. I apologize, Prashanth, for butchering that. But Filppula was like really high up on that list, which is hysterical because he never shoots.
Yeah, he doesn't shoot unless he's got an open net at the top of the crease. So of course his percentage would be high.
So he always looks for pass, and how funny is it that he scores trying to pass it?
Yeah, he scores his only goal of the season off a pass. Is the most Val Filppula thing ever.
We saw a few people talking about how he should have just shot that to start. It's like, no, you had...
No, it was the right play.
There, yeah. I think Athanasiou...
The puck went in. Case in point, it was the right play.
Athanasiou shouldn't have been glued to Pietrangelo. He maybe should have put the brakes on to put himself open, because Pietrangelo was very obviously moving to the net with momentum that he couldn't control. Still, it worked out well.
When you have 4 feet and 2 sticks at the top of the crease moving towards the net, it's never a bad idea to put the puck in there.
No, absolutely not. This game for the Red Wings, the start was ugly. The start was just so what we've seen the last 8 games. Bad penalties, a worse penalty kill, and I want to talk about this penalty kill. The Red Wings aren't exactly phenomenal in positioning, but when you have set plays or things that you can practice that are genuinely almost consistent every time, like a penalty kill or a power play, that should be the one area of your game, if you're a bad team, where you should try to focus on just locking that down. Like, be a bad team 5-on-5, be inefficient on the power play, whatever. What's the Red Wings power play at right now? Like 11%? But just lock down the penalty kill. I can't tell if they're running a diamond. I can't tell if they're collapsing to the crease. Why is Madison Bowie... Madison Bowie's in, like, the neutral zone. Why is Madison Bowie on the penalty kill? There's just so many questions that I have.
I don't know. I think they're trying to run that option T formation, and nobody knows how to, and their on-ice communication just seems terrible. They need to just novice hockey this and just go, just stand in the box. Just don't move.
Admittedly, 3 of their best players this season are out in Glendening, Abdelkader, and DeKaiser.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Abdelkader has improved. Nobody is arguing that. To say the narrative that's going around that he's been good is, yes, the Corsi and the shots and all that on his line are up, but how many actual high-quality scoring chances have they had? Not
I think he's generated more than his fair share this year.
What standard are you putting that up against, Ryan? Are you talking about a Red Wing standard or a good NHL standard?
Look. No player, like with 3 players on this team, should be held to a good NHL standard. Everyone else should be just try your best, sweetheart. Honey, just do your best out there, and that's all we can ask.
There's millions of dollars.
There's one aspect of Justin Abdelkader's game this year that I can comfortably say has been really good, and that's been his passing. And I'm as surprised as you are. But he has made some A+ passes in several of them, and he's been rewarded with a couple primary assists because of it. But he still falls down all the time. His shot's atrocious. He loses board battles. But when he does successfully get the puck, he's been doing good things with it. But I'm not buying into the narrative he's been good, because my eyes will not let me believe that. I've read the numbers. Eye test doesn't match analytics in this case.
Okay, by the numbers, I'm going to use a site called Hockey Stat Cards, and they give out something called Game Score. And
isn't that Dom?
Is it Dom that does Game Score?
Dom does Game Score, unless multiple sites just kind of have the same concept.
They might be pulling from Dom. I apologize if I have that wrong. Anyways, Mantha, Larkin, Bertuzzi, and Helm are the top 4 forwards by average game score, which I think makes sense.
Yeah,
how they've played.
3 best forwards, and then a guy who's been playing with Larkin and Bertuzzi for a good chunk of the season.
5th place is an Abdelkader.
Yeah, no,
but with like half of what they have, or a third.
He's still responsible defensively. Got to give him that.
But what I meant by that was, missing Glendening and missing DeKeyser, and even Abdelkader playing above what we're used to. This team is going to be struggling in areas where they weren't expecting to be struggling. That second half of the sentence just nixed that, because they, of course, are going to expect to struggle, but you're going to get a lot of inconsistency in a season full of inconsistencies when they go down.
You're talking specifically about the penalty kill here. DeKeyser, Glendening, and Abdelkader are 3 of the 4 most used penalty killers on this team, probably, along with maybe Nemeth.
A problem I had with the penalty kill today was just every single pass that St. Louis made was just straight across the middle. It was across laterally the Red Wings' defensive zone. And it's like, look, if you're going to be a bad penalty kill, fine, but at least keep them to the perimeter. How are you going to let them make Bernier move side to side, get the defenseman moving, get the coverage moving, and get the screens for the lanes for the shot? Like, you cannot be doing that. Get a stick on the puck, sacrifice the body, jam up the play. It's not... Put yourself in the middle of all of it. It's the easiest deployment you can have on the penalty kill. Don't let them pass through the middle, and so many unobstructed passes right through the middle.
If you want to know why having players who can skate on the penalty kill is important, this is why. Because obviously puck recovery is a huge part of it too. But if there's a seam in the middle and you have a defenseman who can skate, he can step up into that lane, not really worry too much about the guy 5 feet behind him, because he knows his partner's in that lane. Because that's from the half wall to the back post is not a pass that happens very often, right? Because the defenseman in front of the net will have that shut down, so the back defenseman can run out and take that lane. Or the forward can drift down and leave his guy at the point an extra 10 feet. Because if the puck goes to that guy, you can skate back into position quickly. That's why you need skaters on there, because you can jump back and forth to where you need to be and still not blow your coverage.
Yeah, the penalty kill hurt them tonight. Even when they took the lead, they took a too many men on the ice penalty, which was a stupid penalty to take. When you're leading and might be winning your first game in 8, you take a stupid too many men on the ice penalty.
The Red Wings take a lot of them.
They take a lot of stupid penalties this year.
And a lot of our criticism of Jeff Blashill has been, fair or unfair in most people's eyes. But too many men is 100% of the time the coach's fault.
No, this
100%. You guys have to know who's going, and that's on you. The way a line change works in the NHL, in any level above house league, is the coach yells out what line's going, you acknowledge the coach so he knows he heard you, and then you talk to your line mates and say, I got Flip, I got Helm, I got so-and-so, so there's no confusion. There cannot be confusion. So anytime that happens, it's on the coach because someone thought they were going or someone didn't know they were going.
1,000%. It is, like, you can only blame Blashill so much. The team's not scoring. Well, it's kind of hard when you don't have a lot of scorers. Yeah. The team, they're not efficient on the power play, or their breakout's bad, whatever. Like, there's things where you can assign some blame, but not all. And there's so much in the category of, okay, well, you can't expect that from Blashill. But the little things you can get right is exactly what you need the coach to be getting right, especially in a season where nothing else good is happening for the team. It's like why Lions fans get so mad when Matt Patricia or whoever else the coach was like, throws a challenge flag and they can't challenge the play, and all of a sudden the Lions lose a potential touchdown. It's just like the stupid technical errors that hurt the team that shouldn't be. It's not as technical football. There's a lot of like ticky-tacky rules like that, but you get the point that I'm making. Like,
What?
Most of
did you just go to speak and then I looked at you and you said what?
I was trying to cut off the football talk.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
no, because most of our criticism of Blashill this year has been, we don't like this line combination. We think this is wrong, knowing full well whatever he does probably isn't going to work. We just think this is going to work less.
Yeah.
This is just dumb. This is just bad coaching. And again, context matters, because 4 minutes left in the third period of the first game you've been winning in how long?
Forever. It's been since like 2013 since they've had a lead. Something like that.
One time this kid didn't know he was supposed to jump over the boards, and we pushed him over, and he broke his arm. And no one felt bad.
Where did that come from?
It just made me think of like when Brad was saying, who you got and whatnot, and the bench was like, it's a bunch of big guys, and
Yeah.
when we add one more person, there's no room. You got to squeeze somebody out. So the guy who was supposed to go, we pushed him over the boards, and he wasn't ready for the push and broke his arm.
There was one time it was a game 5, but it was a game 7 when I played AA. It was Playdowns. It was best of 5 series. So it was game 5, and we were playing in Niagara, and they had these boards that were like an extra foot higher. It was so stupid. And I jumped the boards, and the defenseman I was replacing got spooked by the play and went back in, and I was already 3 strides out, and I had to skate 3 strides back and jump as high as I could. I'm not a vertical athlete. Hockey's a very horizontal sport. I did not have the height for that. I got one leg over, and I crunched. One leg on either side of the boards.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a bad time.
Just take the door, man.
That was a bad...
Just take the door.
It was so high up. Yeah, it was really bad. No, the Red Wings, honestly, for this St. Louis game, we'll talk about the other games later, but this St. Louis game, their best overall effort in 8 games. It's sad that it only translated to 1 point, but it was their best overall effort in 8 games.
1 period. I wouldn't call that first period good.
No, the first period was bad. Second period, I don't think either team was particularly amazing.
See, where they went wrong here was they got the lead in the third period, which was the problem. Because as soon as they went up in the third period, that was it. It was over. They can never be leading in the third period and expect to win. This is just how the Red Wings operate.
Right.
They needed to just keep it tied and then win in overtime.
Of course.
And because they can't hold the third period lead ever, as like we've known this for years.
I wanted after the tie, I tweeted out. I said, "This is prime Andreas Athanasiou scores his first goal of the season in dramatic fashion territory." And of course, the Blues hate fun, but that would have been great to see.
That would have been fantastic.
Athanasiou did look like he's snake bitten at this point because he does look good. He's generating chances. There was an opportunity in the Buffalo game, which was an overall travesty, honestly. The best part of the Buffalo game was that Joe Veleno scored his first professional goal with the Grand Rapids Griffins in the AHL.
Yeah.
Philip Lowe went on a breakaway, put the puck off his pads, and it was just like fluttering under his pads, and Athanasiou took like one swipe at it and then blew back past the net because he was going too fast and couldn't put it in. And it was just, buddy, I know you're gripping the stick so tight, but just stop and tap it. That's all you got to do. He does look good. I think he's due.
Larkin finally looked like himself again tonight.
Yeah, he had a really good game tonight.
He looked good. Bertuzzi looked good. Hronek looked great. Cholowski looked good. Philpla actually looked noticeable for maybe the first time this season. Mantha had a great game. Beautiful pass on the Philpla goal too. FYI.
Yes, it definitely was.
Hiroshi had a great game. Did you see that one dangle?
That little dipsy doodle inside out?
I didn't know he had that in him. It was fantastic. I don't know who the defenseman was, but he undressed him.
Yeah, he walked him. That was bad.
Yeah. And then fired it right into Bennington's chest.
Well,
but whatever, that part doesn't matter.
No, I honestly think the best 3 players of this game, though, was the Larkin, Bertuzzi, Helm line.
Well, I mean, Helm played good. No one say he was one of the 3 best players of this game, but...
You want to guess who had the highest relative Corsi of the game?
Yes, I'm aware. I don't care.
Brad,
did he have a scoring chance himself for this game? Because I don't remember one.
I'm sure he did. What was his? Maybe not. Hronek. I love how he sets up on the left side that office.
Yeah.
They really do push it, and anytime a team is stupid enough to let them have that lane, they milk it, and I think that they should be.
Speaking of a play that, two plays that really pissed me off earlier in the game, despite him getting his first assist of the season, do you know who continued to be terrible tonight? Mike Green. He was bad again. Mike, just make the simple play, buddy. You have it in you.
All right, I'm going to be a little bit...
Because there was one play on the power play in the first period. It drove me nuts because, again, you don't want to over-exaggerate, but this is stuff Pee Wee players do, where St. Louis was overloading the right side. Green had the puck on that side. The Blues just abandoned Hronek in the OV spot. Just left him. Passing lane wide open. Not a player within 20 feet of him. And Green fires a soft wrist shot that I don't even think made it to the hash marks before it got blocked. It's just, how do you not make that pass?
Here's the thing. Green's been not good this year. And I think he had that terrible game in Vancouver, was it? Where he took out, yeah. He had that terrible game in Vancouver, and I've seen him slowly scale back his game. He doesn't try to do too much with the puck, but what it does lead to is missing the simple play because he's trying to make an even simpler one. The one where he missed the pass to Hronek, the puck came back to the point, and he just quickly fired it back.
Yeah,
he just quickly fired it on net.
I know 100% what he was doing there, and
because he didn't want to hold it too long. But
with no pressure on him, which is relevant there too.
Yeah, that one was especially bad, but I see him doing a lot where he just tries to make a play where it's like 1-2 touches on the puck and then boom, get rid of it. Pass it, push it to open ice, which he kind of does a lot, which I guess is a step up from a dead giveaway. I don't know.
My favorite was when he stepped up into the slot, tried dragging the defenseman, lost the puck, and St. Louis came down on a 2-on-1.
Yeah. There's a lot of defenseman steps up, makes the bad play. St. Louis, or the other team comes down 2-on-1.
It's a calling card, if you will.
Within the first 2 minutes of the game, I think Nemeth went up to he was on the left side boards, like stepped up, had his stick on the puck, and instead of like hard ring it around, give it the give the pass to the guy who's standing kind of like inside the circle, or even cycle it back to the point because someone was covering it. He just kind of like half tapped it into the corner. St. Louis got the puck, fired it down for the breakout right away. They were going down on an odd man rush, and then Nemeth went back and took a pretty unnecessary hook, led to the power play, led to a quick St. Louis goal. And it's like, all right, step up. Yeah, that's fine. Even if you're not an offensive defenseman, step up, but do something and do it hard. Like, don't half-ass this. Commit it, ring it
just
around.
Full
ass. You know what? Someone who has access to the Red Wings locker room, walk in and just say, just full ass it. Just full ass. All the time ass. That's all you need. But no, Mike Green.
And we have an episode title.
Look at that.
Just full ass.
Just full ass. No, Mike Green, I think, is trying to temper how much he affects the game. And I think that's intentional from the coaching staff as well. I have, in his defense, seen some more of the positive offensive plays that he can create. And the only reason he's the one doing it is because no one else on this Red Wings roster can consistently. Hronek and Cholowski can get there, but they can't be on the ice all the time.
No, and they've been doing it more consistently and more effectively than he has this year. Cholowski had a few good rushes. Cholowski's still like great for 2 awful turnovers a game.
Oh, absolutely.
But at least when he's trying stuff, it's working more often than not.
I'm happy with Cholowski using this full 82 games, hopefully, as his, sandbox.
Part of the learning curve.
It absolutely is.
Let's try some shit, see what happens.
Yeah, why not?
Hronek's doing it, and it's going well.
And you know what? He's not perfect defensively. He has a lot of missed coverages. Derek James, our basketball friend who's very into the Red Wings, pointed something out. He's like, did Hronek just miss his coverage on this goal? And I can't remember what game it was, but Hronek was covering one man in front of the net. There's a second one collapsing inwards. I believe it was Daly who was kind of near that attacker, and the puck came into the slot, like it trickled through because of a shot, and Hronek just completely lost where the puck was. And instead of either going to where the puck was or sticking with his man, he just kind of skated away from both, which led to an easy 1-2 goal into the net. So, Hronek does have a lot of problems he needs to fix in his own zone defensively. But considering how much offense he brings to the game, it makes this year a lot more palatable from him. I'm happy with how he's done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's not been a train wreck defensively. He's been passable, which is good.
And if you need a number one defenseman to develop and he has holes in his defensive game, what better time to learn and work on those when it doesn't matter? And for everyone keeps doing this where I'll we'll tweet out something like the Red Wings can't be doing this or the Red Wings need to be doing this, and everyone's like, right, but it's better when they suck. Trust me, we understand. Trust us. We get the notion of a tanking year being good for the Red Wings in the long haul. But you can't, if you just want us to say that all the time, then we won't even watch the games and talk to you guys about them.
We'll still be competitive and lose.
Yeah, right?
That's because the skill of our team is less than the skill of 29 other teams. Maybe 30.
The Red Wings can't even tank right. They're tanking at the same time as the Ottawa Senators exist.
I don't know, man.
That's not our fault. That's not our fault.
7 straight regulation losses, and then an 8th loss where you only get 1 point out of 16. I think that's a really good tanking.
And yet the Senators are still 2 full points behind the Red Wings. Mind you, Detroit's played more games than almost every team in the league.
And Ottawa's up tonight. 4-2 on San Jose.
Oh, buddy, they're going to pass
predicted.
us. So then that only leaves New Jersey and Chicago behind Detroit. 1 point behind in each of their cases, but 3 games in hand for both of them. I think they can both muster an overtime loss in 3 games.
They can certainly try.
Detroit, as it stands as of this moment, has the worst goal differential in the league by 4.
By far or by 4?
By 4.
By 4?
But by 4, but given how early in the
By
season...
far by 4.
By far by 4. Given how early it is in the season, both of those statements kind of apply. Because everybody else is within like 1 of each other.
Yeah, since the last podcast, the Red Wings lost to Ottawa. We were recording like as that game started.
That was a toilet bowl.
Yeah, they lost the first toilet bowl game. Neither
Or did
team...
they win the toilet bowl?
Yes, they did win the toilet bowl.
They technically won the toilet bowl.
They lost to Buffalo in regulation in a stinker and then lost tonight to St. Louis in overtime. They have Edmonton on Tuesday night before we see you guys again. I think the next episode will be coming on the 30th because the 31st is Halloween. I don't know if Brad is free then, which will be bad if you're not.
It'll be late.
It'll be Brad if you're not.
Well, that's Thursday, right? I damn well better be home or else Mika going to be angry.
Oh, I'm not concerned about Mika getting candy. Actually, I am because then there's candy when we come over.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I don't love this discussion because I think it's early to have it and we might be doing it a lot.
It's going to be a weekly theme. We should just get a sponsor and title it.
The Jeff Blashill discussion.
Yes.
Oh, we're doing it again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Who's it sponsored by? We need a sponsor for this segment.
It's sponsored by Arjun Shankar.
Okay.
I picked a random patron.
So we need to think of a way to like the Blash date or the how do we turn Blashill's name into a weekly update just to annoy everybody further?
Date. Blash date uphill. I don't know the Blash date. Anyways, has his seat gotten hotter through this losing streak, or is this part of what we've been preaching with? This team's not going to win a lot, and they're not expecting Blashill to win.
His seat better have gotten hot because we've said it all year. We know we're going to be bad no matter what happens, but please, for the love of God, be competitive. In this losing streak, how many games would you say they were competitive? 2, maybe 3? That's horrible. You should be competitive in 90% of the games you play at worst. At worst. Even the Red Wings last year, for as bad as they were, I think led the league in 1-goal games.
And we had a ton of loser points last year.
Yeah, perfect. Not on the loser points, but 1-goal games. They're losing, which is ultimately in the grand scheme the best thing for this team right now, but they're in the game. These 5-1 blowouts, another 5 goals against tonight. The absolute egg they laid against Buffalo, those are the one thing you have to avoid. How are Larkin and Mantha and Bertuzzi and Athanasiou and Hronek and Cholowski supposed to know what a competitive team feels like if they're not part of one?
Yeah, when the losses start to pile up, somebody's got to answer for it. And, for a while, the players will blame themselves, but eventually the quick fix, maybe not a fix, but the quick thing to do is get rid of your coach. And you see that time and time again in the NHL.
Now normally I wouldn't sit here and say to get rid of Blashill, even though I disagree with 75% of what he does, because he's new to Yzerman's regime. Yzerman doesn't fully know what he has in Blashill, so I was fully on board and understanding if they wanted to give him the full year. You don't want to bring a brand new quality coach into a team that you know is not going to be competitive for a couple of years, because that's not fair to him. Mm-hmm. But the Red Wings, the one defense I have the other way is the Red Wings are in a unique position right now where they have a qualified NHL coach who's won at this level already on the staff.
Okay. He won with Crosby and Malkin.
I'm not saying Disco Dan's a great coach. I'm not even saying he's necessarily a good coach. But if the Red Wings are not competitive this year and Yzerman decides this is not an environment to put this through, they don't have to bring anybody else in. They can slap the interim label on Disco Dan to ride out the season and then go on a big coaching hunt in the offseason as coaches from other teams get fired, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not saying if that's the right thing to do because I honestly don't know. I'm not a fan of Blashill, but I don't know if you should fire a coach in the middle of one of the worst seasons your franchise is ever going to have.
It's still so hard to tell what we have with Blashill. He makes a lot of questionable decisions, but look what he's working with. If he's making questionable decisions and we had, let's just say Crosby and Malkin sitting on the bench, that's one thing. We got pretty much a first line right now, but what does he do? Like, he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. So
I think we have enough of a sample size. So it's been, 5 or 6 years now? He came into playoff teams. We can laugh.
The cliff was coming.
No, we knew the cliff was coming. But at the time he came in, it was at least a playoff team. This was a team that made the playoffs the year before he got here and the first year he was here. And it's been a steady decline since. We've seen that he has no courage of conviction in his decision-making, ever. 5 years of never being able to stick with anything he does. We've seen the power plays and the special teams consistently be awful. I will argue a lot of things about how bad this team is, but the Red Wings have the personnel on the staff to have a really good power play. They should. They have cannons on each of the units and a lot of guys who can play in the right spots as it stands, and it's still awful. Their breakout has been consistently terrible. And yes, bad defense does not help with that, but you can at least make it competent. It's not. We've seen his personnel deployments, the Abdelkaders and Helms jumping up to the first line. We've seen, he can't keep the top line together. Whether or not he could or should doesn't matter. But it's just, he never sticks to a decision. His decisions generally tend to burn him more than they help him, even though I actually admittedly kind of like their current iterations of the lines. I'll give him that. It's just, we know who he is, and I can't see how any of this benefits the team. It's easy to say if he had a Crosby or a Malkin, he could win a cup. Well, man, I think if I had a Crosby and a Malkin, I might get at least one. And I've never coached a day in my life outside of minor hockey girls.
I think what it really comes down to, the checklist, is competitiveness and youth development. Who who cares what happens with Abdelkader and all the veterans? It's what's happening with the young players. Do they continue to take a step forward in their development under Blashill? Yeah. And I think if that's a yes, I think he stays around until he either sees himself out the door or a top-notch candidate gets fired from another team or becomes available and they're a more correct fit for this team going forward.
I'm glad you brought up the development one, because this is an argument I hear in his favor a lot, and I actually strongly disagree with it. Because people will point to, well, look at how far Athanasiou and Mantha have come. And my counter to that is, look how long it took. These are guys who probably should have been performing at this level for a couple of years now. Look at Rasmussen and Cholowski last year. Both regressed as the season went along. Larkin, I think, is just such a special talent that he would have got here either way. But he got here. We'll count that as a tick in Blashill's column. Hronik is probably a tick in Blashill's column. Bertuzzi, jury's still out on because we don't know if this is consistent. I think it is, so we'll give him a tick. He's batting .500 there, and on a rebuild, 500 is not going to cut it.
Well, I don't know, though. 500 is also not the worst.
It's not the worst.
Especially when two of them are first liners and one of them is poised to be your best defenseman.
Who are our non-checks?
Rasmussen, Cholowski, Athanasiou, Mantha are the ones that I throw against. I like that where Athanasiou and Mantha have come. Both of them are still tremendously inconsistent, and I still think both of them took way too long to get where they are now. Mantha had all these tools in his tool belt years ago. Again, it's debatable. This is not a hill I'm willing to die on. I'm not that strong on it, but I'm just saying I don't think it's an argument in his favor. I don't really think it's an argument against him, though, at the same time.
Yeah,
I think it's about
it's kind of like a gray area.
Yeah.
It's very subjective, I would say.
Ironically, I'm the one who brought it up, and my opinion is that I'm withholding an opinion because I don't think there's a purpose to really having one at this point. I don't think necessarily that anything you, Brad, said was wrong, and I don't think necessarily anything that you said, Evan, was wrong. Like, yeah, he's done a lot of stuff objectively wrong in my mind. His blending of the lines, which I'm not going to hold against him in these past few games because there's been a slew of injuries.
I don't even care anymore.
No, like trying to keep track of the lines is a nightmare. But his blending of the lines over the years, the way he's handled some personnel stuff, I don't think he's been as amazing in player development as people give him credit for, although the last couple of years really have taken a turn in his favor. So you would like to see, for his sake, that keep trending. But like Evan said, like, there's almost no point right now. You kind of just want to wait for that premier candidate to open up because this year's going to suck no matter who it is.
It's like the Oilers. Let's say we bring in Ken Hitchcock. We might get a couple more wins because we have a seasoned coach. Like, but what does it matter?
No, yeah, I'm not saying I'm on.
I mean, at some point, when we've got 20 losses in 25 games, you got to do something because you got to shake it up.
Oh, they might get there.
We're on pace.
Yeah, again.
So And then I look at a team around us. Let's look at New Jersey, for example. That's the hottest seat in town.
Yeah.
They are so far below the amount of expected wins.
Hotter than Dallas?
No.
Jim Montgomery
It's
and
close.
John Hines, they are...
Those are hot seats.
Yeah, they are toe-tapping right now.
But those are teams with expectations, and we have nothing. But yeah, everything we've already said... you know what? I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care, really. Like,
I don't. Again, I would normally, in any circumstance, say don't get rid of him this year because of all the reasons we've talked about. The point I brought up was Detroit is in a unique position where they would not have as many disadvantages if they were to do it this year versus other teams because of Bylsma. I don't really care either way. I don't think either of them are the answer. I think the long-term solution is outside of the organization right now.
100%.
But it doesn't matter.
yeah, I don't see a winning formula in bringing in a new coach right now.
If you're do it. Whoever the full-time coach is, if they decide it's not Bylsma or Blashill, that's someone they're finding in the offseason, not now.
100% agree with all of that. And I want to be careful to say that there isn't like an unlimited amount of losses this season for Blashill. There is a threshold. I just don't think we've hit
Every
that
scenario
quite yet.
has a threshold for sure.
Circle back to they have to be competitive every night, and they have not been, hence why his seat is hot. If they lost these 8 games in a row and every game was by 1 goal or in overtime, I don't think we're having this conversation right now.
So let's just play. Let's do something for fun. What is your percentage chance that Jeff Blashill is still the coach at the end of the year?
Ooh,
knowing everything that's transpired so far.
So we're going
70.
to right up to game 82.
100% chance, or 100% he's gone, or 0% chance?
I'll give it
stays?
70.
That he's gone.
No, that he's here.
70% he stays?
70% he stays.
I'll go 75. I
he
think
stays?
he stays.
I'm somewhere around there too. Unless in the next 10 games we just get smoked. I'll just for the sake of something different, I'll say 60%.
I'll say this: 9 games ago, I think it was 90.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think for sure the seats warmed up.
Yeah, you're gonna lose a lot. Just try.
We knew we were gonna lose.
Try to sprinkle some.
There's
wins
no
in there.
talent outside of the top line.
Yeah, get a shootout win or something.
The Red Wings are bad, but they're not as bad as they've shown in the last 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some good news, and this might actually be a sad indication of how hard it is to enjoy the season. Giovanni Smith got called up and played his first couple NHL games, which was cool to see.
Good for him.
He obviously didn't do anything one way or the other. I was genuinely excited because I thought at least this guy might come in, make a big hit, fight someone, pump up the team. Not much really happened with him on the ice. I didn't really notice him a terribly large amount.
He's guy.
But it was cool to see. Glad he got his first couple games. His dad was so proud and happy. And I was
Seems like an all-around great dude, and everybody loves that guy. So
Yeah.
good for him.
Yeah, it was cool.
Guy Vonnie Smith.
Christ, Brad. I was like, why is he smiling so much?
He thought about that one 20 seconds
He's
ago.
been sitting on that one. Some news around the NHL.
Other teams are enjoying the season and we're not.
Eric Goodbranson got traded.
Why?
Anaheim gave up, an asset that's likely not going to pan out in a 7th round pick.
So you want to get slower. Let me tell you who we got on tap.
Like, Eric Goodbranson is just a devastatingly bad defenseman on a worse contract, right?
Yeah, did Anaheim not realize they could have just had Jonathan Ericsson for free for less term? They're not that dissimilar a player.
Why are you trading for that? There is no single between that Lucic trade and Eric Goodbranson being traded. I will maintain in today's NHL, there's no such thing as an untradeable contract. Justin Abdelkader, tradable.
Yeah.
Danny DeKeyser, tradable.
Why is Anaheim getting assets? Like, why are they taking on players?
Dude, aren't they like top 5 in the league right now?
Who's there? Was it Manson?
Not for long now.
Manson injured?
Oh no, they're 11th. They've been on a bit of a streak.
They've had
the other way.
Anaheim Ducks injuries. One of their defensemen went down, and I can't remember who it was.
Oh, that would explain it. They needed
but
guy.
then
That would make sense.
But then they went and got a guy just to essentially fill in.
To be
as a
fair,
warm body.
they did lose Lucas Pisa on waivers to Winnipeg when they tried to bring him back.
They put him on waivers.
I think wasn't he in Switzerland and he signed to come over, but he had to clear waivers.
Oh, shut up! Was that it?
I think it might have been.
That's a whoops.
Admittedly, it's Lucas Pisa, so I didn't dive too deep into it because who cares? But I think I heard that in passing.
Hampus Lindholm is day-to-day and Josh Manson's on IR, so that's why they needed a defensive body. But Eric Goodbranson's not it. It is just not it, Chief. He has 2 years left at $4 million per year?
Oh.
Yeah, this season and next. And you might be saying, well, that's just 2 years. Right, but you could have also not had him for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
This league is wild. Good GMs will do stupid things and bad GMs will do smart things, and bad GMs will do stupid things and good GMs will do smart things.
Everybody's got their resume, their highlights, and their lowlights.
Honestly. Whoa, why? I just really don't understand why you're going out and making that move. But regardless, it does bode well for teams with a lot of anchor contracts. So, a Nielsen could be traded one day. An Abdelkader could be traded one day. A team might actually view Danny DeKeyser has been playing good hockey this year. I'll give him that. But they might actually pay a premium for him.
Well, you might be able to fool somebody into something.
All right. Do you think it's completely out of this world that Danny DeKeyser fetches a first-round pick?
Yes. Are you high?
Baby.
We've seen some crazy things happen.
Look, the Milan Lucic got traded for the NHL leading goal scorer. Is he still atop right now? James Neal?
I think he was tied last night.
I've got it up right here. He scored today. So he currently is, with his goal today, assuming it hasn't updated, jumped into either first or second because he's showing 10. Pasternak has 11.
Milan Lucic got traded for that.
Yes.
Eric Goodbranson got shipped away from Pittsburgh. Also, other teams in the league, stop helping good teams.
It's like when everyone was helping Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this?
Or
Please
like
stop.
When everybody was helping Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh.
Like they did again.
In
right
Tampa,
now.
people sign in Tampa for a button and some pocket lint.
Now I know how every NFL team fan, every NFL fan feels about the New England Patriots. Everyone just keeps helping the Patriots.
Yes.
Any other news? Any other news around the league?
Toronto fans are melting down, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, because they want grit. The thing is, you can be a soft as hell team and still out talent the other team.
You know what? They need a Luke Glendening.
Again, Luke Glendening is playing good enough hockey where he might be back on that radar.
Coaches.
If you're
Luke Glendening's more likely to get a first-round pick than Danny DeKeyser.
I agree.
Neither of them will.
If you're Kyle Dubas, and let's say Mike Babcock's not getting fired, let's say that's off the table, and Mike Babcock desperately wants someone who will, work in the corners and give it 110 every game and really help his teammates be better.
Kyle Dubas is not taking Luke Glendening, and let me explain why. Because Jason Spezza was Kyle Dubas's guy, and he's basically in Babcock's cabana. So for Babcock to reach out to Dubas to say, I want this guy, he'll tell him to shove it. I guarantee it. I don't think those two see eye to eye at all.
No,
okay, but
don't.
pretend that they do. And Dubas is like, I have to bring in a grinder, but I have to bring in the most effective grinder that I can to offset this. is Luke Glendening not the perfect asset to bring in?
He absolutely is, but Dubas has spent the last 2 or 3 off seasons taking away all of Babcock's toys because he didn't want Marlowe playing 20 minutes a night. He didn't want Ron Hainsey playing 28. He didn't want Roman Polak playing 20 minutes a night because Babcock has no idea how to manage his personnel. So no, he's not bringing in a Luke Glendening, who he knows damn well will just take ice time away from Marner or Matthews or Nylander or whoever. He is keeping these types of players as far away from the Toronto Maple Leafs as humanly possible while Babcock is there.
That is correct.
Just saying.
Yes, it would be nice.
He has taken away every one of his toys. All of them. There's nobody left.
Do we have anything that we want to talk about before we get... Oh, Joe Veleno scored his first professional goal. We chatted about that.
Matt Pumble had a hat trick.
Oh, he did.
Mort Sider's still good.
Let's get into overtime. Overtime today is brought to you by Motor City Garages. It's a family-owned and operated business servicing Metro Detroit. They do garage flooring, cabinets, overhead racks, wall storage, preventing teams from beating you in regulation games, 9 games in a row, and car lifts. Enough with the messy garages everyone is sick of walking through. It's time to turn it into something useful. Whether you like to work on your car or if you'd like an organized space, we have you covered. 3D designs and lifetime warranty. Motor City Garages, park in style. We're going to head over to Patreon, where all of our patrons get their comments read out as our way of saying thank you for supporting the show. Jeff Chen says, first of all, congrats to Brad. Almost. We were
soon.
expecting it.
Delay that.
Well done.
Hold on. I do have an update that might be in regards to that. A tweet that was posted 4 minutes ago as I'm looking at Twitter here. Congrats to Nick Sagan and his wife on the birth of their little girl.
Nice. Congratulations, Nick. I was actually going to text him today to see how that was going. Nick Sagan from Wings Nation, former managing editor of Wings Nation. That's amazing news.
She is adorable.
Oh, look at those cheeks. Congratulations, Nick. That's amazing. Jeff Chen says, secondly, if you had to put the over-under on face-offs won this season, let's say 1, what would you guys pick? Has the team been bad on face-offs? I honestly don't pay attention.
I don't care anymore.
I can't.
Yes.
Although an offensive zone face-off win did lead to the Bertuzzi goal today.
I can't remember.
Was that a win? That was almost a loss because Bertuzzi came to the St. Louis side of the draw to shoot it.
I think I was watching I think it may have been a Buffalo highlight pack, and they were saying how Buffalo was terrible in face-offs this year. And I was like, well, they're first in the league. So I guess that doesn't mean anything.
No. Evan Beckner says, is there an epidemic of bad ice in the NHL? I realize many arenas share with basketball, but I feel like ice technology should have advanced enough by now to counter that. Arenas have been sharing for decades. LCA seems to have terrible ice, and I see complaints from many other arenas as well. Is there anything that can be done, or is it just something players have to deal with? Except for Rantanen, he obviously couldn't deal.
Well, yeah, they have to deal with it.
Winnipeg and Calgary had to deal with it last night like hell.
I think the popularity of multi-purpose arenas, which I think are a good thing for economies and downtown cores, but that's a whole other argument, does make for bad ice. A lot of the times you find, and this is sad to say, it's the same deal with cameras, where teams just aren't investing the resources into the, premier ice technologies, or their facilities are too old, or things like that. I don't really see an excuse for the LCA besides the fact that when they have to switch over from the Pistons to the Red Wings, it is problematic.
They melt the ice or just cover it?
They cover it. Yeah. They put like mats down, and it's a whole thing. There's only so much you can do. I'm sure there's a threshold, but at the same time, like, it is something that the league is going to have to prioritize at some point. But then again, you have like the Washington Redskins that played on that brutal field that destroyed RG3's career, and you have like the Oakland Raiders playing in a literal baseball diamond, so it's stupid.
I remember when Toronto FC was first coming into the MLS, and they had turf, and there were players who would say, I'm not playing for this team because they don't have real grass.
It's brutal to play on.
It's like running on concrete. Your knees, hips, all your joints feel terrible. So you know what? Can't blame athletes for refusing such things, but
yeah.
What are you going to do, really?
So with the house, Mel and I just got the house on Friday. No ice yet.
Building a backyard rink?
Yes.
Can I come?
Yes, it's very slanted. The backyard's very slanted, but we're still building a rink.
Hard mode.
Yes, exactly. That's where we're going to train your kids. So
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
premier skaters by the time they reach the NHL. No, we've been watching a lot of HGTV for like home improvements.
My most sincere apologies.
And there's this one old lady who wanted like concrete or some kind of like hard surface throughout her whole home for flooring. I'm like, you're old. Do you hate your joints? You're gonna die.
I wear Crocs indoors anyway, so everything is soft for me.
That is the least surprising thing I've ever heard about.
It's
Evan's
honestly-
personal life.
Do not
pragmatic.
sleep on Crocs.
Yeah.
I used to hate them, and then I put on my buddies at his cottage, and I'm converted.
Cody G says these are the reasons which will force one of you to donate to a charity/important cause. Evan, every time he misses an episode. Ryan, every time he misreads someone's name. Or Brad, every time he mentions he's older than Ryan and or Evan. DM me for the bank account number into which you must deposit your donations. Advanced Water says, so I recently got a third monitor for my computer, which is 99% just to have hockey playing whenever it's the NHL, AHL, WNHL, whatever. First of all, 100% suggest.
That's what we forgot to talk about. The NHL planning out the WNHL.
Ooh, yeah, we should. We'll get that one next episode because that deserves a full topic.
Yep.
Watching all this hockey, the Red Wings seem really bad at passing the puck. Is it just me being overly critical? Is it the constant line blends, or is it an actual weak point in the organization?
Yes, to all of the above.
Yeah. The puck-
Unskilled team can't do skilled things.
yeah, it's the most basic skill, and you're going to be missing it. Like shooting, also. The puck is constantly bouncing when the Red Wings have it. It's never a tape-to-tape pass.
No,
Ever.
it's even on the Filppula goal today. Mantha, who made the great pass to Filppula, go back and watch the pass that Mantha had to take off his feet just to get going on that one.
Garrett TV says, Hockey Amigos. Congrats to Brad. I'm assuming he and Crystal have or will soon have the baby.
Wah, wah.
Delay it.
It's gotta be Dylan, right? Anyways, I had a question/comment about Blashill, but if Brad's got a new baby, I don't want to bring this podcast to Blashill's levels and instead focus on the positive. So congrats to the new baby, Dylan. It's gotta be Dylan, right? Unless it's Henrik. Yeah, either way, go Wings. Chris Smith says, what's up, guys? Wanted to tell you, I think Chris is a new patron, so welcome, Chris, and thank you for your support. He says, I want to tell you all thanks for the podcast. It's hard getting good Wings chat out in Denver, so it's nice to listen to some reasonable Wings talk instead of garbage Avs talk. Side note, pour some out for these guys since they aren't able to even watch their team as networks, which are on their own network, which shows that the Avs is currently unavailable through cable providers because the owner of the network kind of really sucks. Oh man, that's brutal. This team wasn't going to win any games this year. We knew that, and the players have to have a reasonable understanding of that as well. That being said, I honestly think we're overvaluing some of our prospects' time in Grand Rapids, especially considering what's happening to our guys up in Detroit. Yeah, I understand not wanting to put a 20-year-old kid into this mess, but we can't take the 22 to 25-year-old kids out of it. I can't help but think about that pass from Flipper to Athanasiou. What if it were Rass on that rush? Yeah, it's a hypothetical situation, but Rass shoots the puck. Hell, Abdelkader shoots the puck, but it doesn't fit my narrative right now. Even if it's Rasmussen making that pass, it's a coachable moment that he will learn from his mistakes. Rass, out of everyone, I think should be up on the Wings on a full-time basis this year as he looks good, and NHL time would make him look better. Zadina would also make the top line more interesting and add a dynamic that Burt simply can't create more opportunities for Larks and Mantha. And an honest question for a guy like Zadina, does 25 goals and a playoff push in the AHL go further than maybe 15 NHL goals and a bunch of losses?
I think we've used this narrative before because of what Detroit is very obviously doing. But the part we don't often talk about enough, which is also true, are any of these guys ready for the NHL? Right now, looking at Zadina, Veleno, Rasmussen, Seider, I would say no to all of the above. I think that they still have some developing to do. In a perfect world, I would expect Rasmussen and Zadina to get to the point of NHL ready at some point during this season. But I don't think either of them are there yet. I think they still have a lot of refining to do in their game. With Rasmussen, it's some technical things. With Zadina, it's some mental things. But they both need to get there. So I have no problems with them being in Grand Rapids. The fact that they shouldn't be anywhere near Detroit because of the mess that's presented in front of them is just added reasons to keep them down, but probably not the primary reason they're down. Because right now, if we're talking about a Red Wings team that's trying to win, is pulling Darren Helm off the top line and putting Philip Zadina there going to improve that line? Probably marginally, because that's an extra scoring threat, whereas Helm isn't that. But we're splitting hairs there, and again, Zadina's development's more important than that at this point right now.
Also mentions wanting Veleno and Sider, or is okay with them staying down, but not wanting to watch anyone over the age of 25 dump the puck into the offensive zone and then instantly start the back check. Just give Kasky to take Bowie or the ghost of Mike Green's spot for even 9 games, would be thrilled. All that being said, knowing Blash, we would have lines like Zadina playing with De La Rose and Abdelkader while Ras played with Howe and Glendening. Good stuff. Those are very real lines.
Yeah, 100%. Also, one thing I was thinking about, I was going to tweet it out, but I was just too angry to. Are Jacob De La Rose and Christopher N the most boring, uninteresting hockey players in the entire NHL? They're
quintessential guy.
You don't even notice them out there. You see the stat sheets that they play like 12 to 15 minutes after the game, and you don't remember seeing them once. They contribute nothing of value offensively, but aren't really a liability defensively, so they're just there.
Yeah.
That's what makes the game so much worse to watch.
It is, because it is boring hockey, uneventful hockey when they're on the ice, because the other team's not running their show, which is a good thing, but then when they get the puck, they don't do anything with it. It's a glorified game of ping pong where nobody's having fun.
When our team's bad, I want to see at least somebody score, whether it's us or them.
That's the one good thing about Ottawa fans, the few of them that are still around watching the Senators tank. It's high event hockey.
Yes.
Everything is happening all the time. Nothing happens in Red Wings
There's
games.
Dozens of them. Literally dozens.
They are one of the most low event teams in the NHL, and they're bad. It's just, it's
you can hear a mouse
case.
fart in some games, I swear.
Brian Toll says, who I believe is a new patron, so welcome Brian to the Dub family, and thank you for the support, man. He says, it seems like only last month we had Mika inform us she was going to be a big sister. Hope time flew by for Crystal, and best of luck to the Crisco family.
Thank you. It's been painfully slow.
Second, I want to say thanks to all 3 of you guys for the objective views and honesty you provide on your pod. I was listening to a new pod about the Washington Capitals, my number 2 team, only team that was covered in Maryland when I was growing up.
Are we objective?
Yes.
We get...
I think
we get criticized for being too critical, and I think on some levels that's fair, but come on.
I think we're
if we had a 50 goal, if we're being critical of a 50 goal score, I could see some criticism of us.
I think we allow for the subjectivity, and I think we allow for the fandom to come through at the right points, or at least that's what we try to do. We don't want to be like, reading off a page, or
it's no fun if we're always right.
Yeah, in our dreams. That pod will remain unnamed, and the host of said podcast stated that the Capitals had a good/great prospects already in the farm system. However, could not find one Capitals prospect in the Hockey Writers Top 100. Had to turn it off. I did find 4 wings in the list: Kasky, Sider, Veleno, and Zadina. So thanks again for keeping it real and not just talking to talk and telling us what we want to hear to get the warm and fuzzies. Can we get a regular happenings at the Rapids segment for a shot at some good news for the future for the Red Wings to help deal with this losing streak that looks like it may continue through the next week? That is something that we are planning. Stay tuned for that one. Once again, can't wait to hear the news on the new addition to the family. Stay fresh, duds. And I'm jealous of Advanced Water setup. Maybe he could let us know how they look in Grand Rapids. Joseph Fournier says Brad's top 5 baby names: 5 Hayden, 4 Dylan, 3 Steve, 2 Sergey, and 1 Brad Jr. Got to agree with Advanced Water. Line blending happens too often nowadays. Remember how Scotty Bowman was criticized for line blending? He would actually keep lines together to give players time to develop chemistry. Once he had 4 lines that clicked, he'd then switch things up, much to the fans' frustration and chagrin. Big part of why this team has no identity is that players don't have any chemistry. Think of how different the recent infamous Athens AA Wally Rush would have been if they actually were comfortable knowing how their line mates operated. Evan was right when he said Blash is in damned if you do, damned if you don't with the lineup. He might as well keep them intact and build on that. Given the status of the roster with the injuries, is what I like to see. Burt Larkin Mantha, Athanasiou Nielsen Hiroshi, Helm De La Rose Smith, and Wally Svetch. Now how about these for you charity kickers? Brad, every time he brings up his illustrious playing career as a reason why he's right about anything. Ryan, every time he nonchalantly uses one of his patented cliches like a big fat nothing burger of a statement. And Evan, anytime he doesn't know what's going on at all. This includes going at least 7 minutes without saying anything. His what per 60 leads the podcast and is second in the NHL only to Valtteri Filppula. What is this? A puck in an open net? I should pass to someone else. They'll know what to do with it. Let's wrap this up with another rousing edition of the Athanasiou 1-for-1 trade game. A little easier this week since you're minus 1 member, but not.
That's wrong.
But not. Yeah. Thanks, Canadian healthcare system. I appreciate that you're free.
Yeah. Cam York.
No.
No, because we don't know enough.
Sure.
Vili Heinola. I'm going to tentatively say no. Tentatively say no. Ask me in December.
I'm going to say yes. He's a lefty. We got a lot of righties. He fits well.
No.
Niels Höglander.
No.
No.
No. Connor McMichael.
No.
Yes.
No.
I've always really liked him.
This is a good one. Spencer Knight.
Oh,
Yes.
God, yes.
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 Alex Newhook. Yes. I think you do it for the chance at the center. I think you do. Larkin Valeno Newhook.
No. Can't. I don't have enough faith in Newhook to get there.
Ryan Merkley. No.
No.
Whoa. That's a no.
Rasmus Sandin. Yes.
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 Bodie Wild.
No.
I haven't really heard anything about him in a long time, so I'll say no.
No. This is the easiest one ever. Martin Nikash. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nick Suzuki.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Cal Foote.
No.
No.
No by a hair. Robert Thomas.
I would have said yes for sure a year ago, but he's not progressing like I was hoping he would, so I'm going to tentatively say no, but I hate myself for it.
I've got nothing.
I'm going to say no as yeah, I'm going to say no. Ryan Poehling, no.
Maybe.
I'm going to say no, but I feel like that's one of those ones that I'm going to come to regret.
Henry Yokiharu.
No.
I can't say that name, so I'm going to say no.
No.
You can say Athanasiou, but not Yokoharu.
Noki are you?
Nolan Patrick.
Oh, God. I can't believe I'm going to say it, but no.
Really? I'd say
He's
yes.
not developing at all, and he is perpetually injured in new and creative ways.
I say yes because if he does stay healthy, oh boy, you got yourself a center.
Yeah, I just don't know if you can risk that one.
I'll say yes.
Adam Flett says, good afternoon, not posted for a while as I have no real questions, but today I'm hit with a stomach virus and I'm laid up with nothing better to do. Haven't seen a post from Rowan, but can only assume his Jersey questions will be, what's your favorite England rugby top? Away from rugby, I was wondering about our prospects pool, and I keep seeing good numbers from Regula and the keeper in Alberta, so my question is twofold. How strong is the Alberta League, and can the Wings move him next season for development purposes? And secondly, has Regula a serious shot at a bottom four wing spot? Hope you're all well. Brad, you have no idea what tire it is until you have two kids, but it's also the most fun. Hashtag save fresh cheese bags.
Okay, so the AJHL is a small step below the BCHL, which is a small step below the CHL. So it's not the best indicator league. I think Guylander, if I'm not mistaken, is going to.
Guylander.
He's
He's going to fit right in.
Yeah.
We need a Guylander.
I want to make so many Highlander jokes right now. Anyways, I think he's going to the NCAA, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say Colgate.
I'm not sure.
I think that's where he's committed, but I'm not 100%. I might have the school wrong. So that'll give us a really good indication. And Regula is having a very pleasantly surprising season. We liked him last year. He's showing way more offense this year than we thought he had in him. He's a co-captain of the Knights, a strong team. I mean, there's legitimate reason to be excited about Regula possibly being a bottom three defenseman on this team in the future. I, in my personal opinion, would go so far as to say he's almost caught up to Lindstrom in my expectations, which is a good
on how
sign.
his next year goes, assuming he does move to the A.
Yeah.
No, Regula is having a very surprisingly good season, and people kind of theorize that there's a lot of talent on the blue line in London, and
It's always really hard to evaluate prospects in London because London is always stacked.
Yeah.
And every time I've watched Regula, he's always in the right spot. He plays a mean game. He's got a good stick. He just had absolutely zero offense. But,
And now he's playing forward on the power play.
yeah.
He's either playing net front or bumper, which is some versatility.
Jacob Lozen says, congrats, Crisco family. My only question is, Blashill has to be on the hot seat, right? Last season, we saw so many coaches fired. McClellan, Quenville, Stevens, Mike Yeo, David Haxtell. Let's go after X amount of consecutive losses. Do you think Steve Yzerman is a bit more understanding, or should Jeff be updating his resume? Most of the coaches I listed above would be considered working with teams on the rebuild. I'm a bit frustrated with all those terrible losses, especially to Ottawa. Old Jeff Blashill isn't working with a whole lot of talent, but couldn't we say Athanasiou being goalless is a reflex thing of his coaching? Hate to be one of those fire the coach guys, but if something needs to be done, if you ask me. Thanks for all you do. Congrats to Brad again, and as always, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Preemptively, thank you. So here's the thing. Hindsight's always 2020, but I think we get to say this because we all said this on the podcast way back when. I'm still angry that we didn't take a run at Quenneville or Kruger.
Oh, yeah.
That still pisses me off.
100%.
How do we know we didn't?
And Gallant.
Did we ever confirm we did not?
Yes, because Jeff Blashill's still employed.
Oh, and
Those
not
guys would
everybody
also
wants to
want-
go
yeah.
to Detroit. One guy gets to go live in Vegas. The other guy gets to go live in Florida.
One of them's living in Buffalo.
Yeah, that's...
Kruger was also a
Yeah,
hard guy
but...
to pin down.
yeah.
I was all on the Kruger train, and Buffalo fans love the guy now. The hockey world is raving about him.
Don Mitchell says, short comment this week. Congrats, Brad. Sorry for beating you last week in fantasy. Evan, stay fresh, Ryan.
Did I lose?
What's this week's record going to be? Home against the sad color team, home against the McDavids, at the Jerks, at the Cat team. Cheers, Don. So, lost to the Blues. I don't know. You can't bet against McDavid and Draisaitl. In Carolina is a tough game, and in Florida, oh boy. If they sneak out with a win, I'll be thrilled.
Yes.
Liz B says, well, at least the Griffins are good, so that's a thing. Anyone that's able to do so needs to go get to a Griffins game. It'll make you feel a lot better. I'm very thankful I live close enough to take in a handful of Griffins games this season. Yes, they are ours.
Is there an airport in Grand Riffins?
Oh, boy.
Woo. It's late.
We are almost done. K-Waz says, my goodness, this PK is brutal. Should the Red Wings change the PK philosophy, like maybe a passive/small box versus a large box? I think they should just stay in position, first of all. Actually play one of the strategies rather than be an amorphous blob.
Let's just try Stan Van Gundy's form a fucking wall. Just whatever. Try anything but what you're doing.
Joseph Delia says, sup dudes, kind of a little bit of a heartbreaker tonight. Kind of glad they didn't win, so I didn't have to hear Paul Woods constantly remind us that we beat the Cup champs. Y'all didn't answer my question last week. Was curious if the Wings would allow 4 rookies if they're already in the lineup. Stay fresh, my dudes.
Would the Wings? Yeah, depending on the coach. Would Jeff Blashill? No, absolutely not.
I think there's a version of this team, depending on how things shake out, that where they would allow it this year if they needed to. You might honestly see it at the end of the season.
Did we have a lot? We must have had a lot of rookies near the end of the season last year.
Well, they got 3 right now. Smith, Svechnikov, and Hirose.
Svechnikov's still technically a rookie, eh?
I think he's close. Either way, he's close enough.
Well, end of the last season, we had Hirose, Kuffner.
No, Zadina was gone by the time they got there.
And Jonathan Ericsson.
Well,
Yeah.
Hronek and Cholowski were rookies last year, technically.
I don't think we're
And
too far off.
Rasmussen.
Yeah.
Rowan says, good day, duds. I'll be honest, I did advise to just take the week off because after watching this shit show, I really don't want to hear more about it. Wings have been legit Criscoing it a ton lately. Well, only 243 more stress-free days until the 2020 NHL entry draft, and I, for one, would like to be induced into a coma until then. When you need to go night-night for a few months, trust Stay Fresh Cheese Bags to keep you induced in dreamland. Stay Fresh Cheese Bags, a Fournier company and Dr. Spaceman's choice. Rugby time, business end of the World Cup, and sadly it's been cancelled since England demolished New Zealand and now square off with South Africa for the William Webb Ellis Trophy. It really pains me to say this, but England look like they'll win comfortably, but a final is a final and anything can happen. Wales and New Zealand play off for bronze. Pick 'em. If England beat New Zealand, and they did it handily, I think they take it.
I'm going England and Wales.
Jersey time. The Columbus Cannon jerseys is heaps good. Today it squares off with the Jets Heritage Classic jersey from the outdoor game that we totally knew was on, and the Canucks 50th anniversary blue and green alts, which are fantastic. Rank them, but do it good.
So the Canucks current third, the Jets outdoor, and the Blue Jackets Cannon.
Yeah.
Jets, Canucks, Jackets.
I will go Jets for sure first. Canucks Jackets, yeah. I love the Jackets jersey.
I abstain.
What?
I don't even know what any of them look like.
The Cannon jersey?
Oh,
Yeah.
The one with the baby blue, the Canucks new thirds are actually pretty dope, and just think old Winnipeg Jets.
Okay, Winnipeg then.
Winnipeg's first. With that, we are going to wrap up this episode of the Windwheel Podcast. We do have an exciting announcement for next episode. Patrons,
Shut up.
Stay tuned. We'll let you guys get in on that
Brad,
one.
you can listen to the episode.
I'm sure you'll have plenty of time in a hospital waiting room. We'd like to thank all of our name-level sponsors: Sky Carcass, Luke Johnson, Arjun Shanker, Clayton Van Dyken, Mike Reed, Langabeer, Matthew M. Rice, Ryan Lewis, Sean Levine, Matthew McKay, Hannah Lee, Kaylin Wood, Jacob Turner, Charlie Elkins, John Evans, Antonio Lupu, Rob Thiel, Craig Kibble, Stan Olson, Mike DiLoretto, Simon Anderson. Thank you all so much. Congratulations to Jeremiah Tesno for winning our patron gold jersey giveaway, and we will see you guys on Wednesday.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to check out wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find links to other ways to support the show, such as Patreon, official podcast apparel, and more. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at Winged Wheel Pod. And of course, the hosts at Brad Crisco, at Ryan Hanna WWP, and at Hockey Town Evan.